Let's talk about cuts to the Social Security program. And I know that this is tends to be a political conversation, but I'm trying to address it from an apolitical basis. So I think the first thing I want to say is let's take off the table that benefits will be reduced in some way. Let's just take the personnel cuts that I think are inevitable, right? And if you follow the news over the last week, you would I would think that you almost 100% would agree. Um, there is another group of people who think that that Social Security benefits, Medicare and Medicaid could be affected. And they're not really being very public about that. But I think we know that there is a target to reduce a number from Medicaid. And politicians would like us to believe that that's just going to be in the waste, abuse, and fraud areas of those programs. But the number that's out there is a very large number. And based on what I know, I don't believe that you're going to find those kind of numbers in those particular areas. Um, and so, that will remain to be seen. But when we talk about the people piece, I think it's important to kind of think a little bit about this. So let's take that one first. So less people, and not just some less people, but significantly less people. If you think that there's a target of 25 to 50% of the people in the Social Security Administration that need to be eliminated, that's just going to mean there's going to be less people. So I think one of the core results of that is going to be certainly that it will be very difficult to get hand or human-based interactions with the Social Security Administration. If you are a person who absolutely needs it, they will hopefully prioritize that. But I would expect that you will be waiting weeks and months to have a conversation with someone in the Social Security office if you will be eligible at all to do that, right? I think everything is going to go electronic. And so if you're a person who is not comfortable with technology, you will most likely find it very difficult to deal with that organization in the future. And these are just my opinions, but when I look at other organizations who've made sort of the same kind of move, for those people who live in New York, know that, there was a time not too long ago you could go and get on a subway or a bus, have a conversation with somebody, buy a ticket, and do that. Today, that's unheard of. If you don't know how to use your credit card or your debit card and purchase train transportation or bus transportation, you're not riding the bus or the train, right? So we went through in New York a kind of a really large cultural shift where that was required. And so people learned that they had to sort of make sure that they had some sort of way to get on the bus, that they understood ultimately how to buy those types of things, and that there wasn't going to be a human being who's going to help you moving forward. And I think that's the same transition that we're going to see in the Social Security organization. We've already seen some of that. I have a number of clients who, have leveraged me and my knowledge of technology and sort of how Social Security works to either go on Social Security to resolve a Social Security issue or to sign up for Medicare and make some decisions around that, right? And so I think ultimately, there will be people, third parties, who will probably have to take a bigger role. But they'll only do that in areas where, like in Medicare, you'll see, that's why you're going to see a big push to kind of move more people to Medicare Advantage rather than traditional Medicare, because there are insurance agents who are compensated to help seniors in that space, right? And so I would guess that, and there's been some discussion as to whether or not this current administration is going to require you to go on Medicare Advantage, or at least strongly urge you and incentivize you to do so, right? Now, when you're talking about the cuts, I think, we already have seen, if you look at the map, I think I have other videos on this, that, there are certain states who have reduced their Medicaid coverage or did not expand. There were 37 states who expanded the Medicaid coverage, 13 states who did not. You can kind of look to see whether your state is one of them in one of my prior videos. But I think ultimately, when it comes to fraud, waste, and abuse, which you're going to hear a lot of on television, you're going to hear that there's all this waste, there's all this fraud. But the reality is that, to get to that number, that they want to achieve, that it's a very large number. It's close to $1 trillion. There's going to have to be some cuts somewhere. Now, given the fact that Medicare is up against, no longer being able to provide at least 20% of the benefits as of 2034, either we are going to have to figure out a way to buy our way out of that, and that means with some sort of tax revenue or some other kind of revenue, raise the age of retirement, full retirement. So there are going to have to be some hard decisions made, and ultimately to be able to secure what we currently are eligible for today. And then also if we want to carve out this expense from our social safety net. So those are hard conversations to have. I'm sure we all have some very strong feelings one way or the other. That was not really the intent of this video. It's really just to kind of raise the conversation and kind of make sure that we're starting to think and talk about it.